Enjoy yourself. Enjoy life how you see fit. People eat alone and enjoy it, so people can drink alone and enjoy it, whatever.
That's very true. It's a very good sentiment to start the episode off with as well. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games and craft beer. I'm Ben. I'm here with Lucy.
Hello.
Hey,
again.
just the two of us this evening.
We can make it if we try.
We can, exactly. Adam's off doing work, I think. Something far more important.
No, I don't think it is.
As you may have got from our little opening, I'm going to be drinking by myself this evening. Lucy, you're still dry.
Yeah.
As you sort of just said, you might just go the rest of the month.
Yeah. It's currently, what day is it today? It's
23rd. Yes.
Yeah, a week and a day. So that's fine. That's okay.
It seems like you've not, in the conversations that we've had, and when we were talking about it last week and stuff, you haven't seemed to miss it at all.
No. That's what's strange. That's what's actually worrying. No, it's been fine. I haven't. No, I don't know if it was just because of the last contract that I was on. It was like, oh my god, overkill, or maybe I don't know. I can't guess.
Yeah, and I think you enjoy the experience as well. Going to tap rooms, the festivals in the summer, and those sorts of things.
Bloody cold.
Yeah, and it's miserable. It's so rainy too down here.
I go missing. I hibernate over the winter, so.
But
fair. Come summer, there will be none of this dryness.
Out in full force. Perfect. Yeah. Right, I'm going to open a beer. Both of my beers are sort of local. Both from Gloucestershire. So I was up. I had to go for a meeting with a potential client, up in Hereford, and I remembered the last time I was in the Gloucester M5 service. It's like the farm shop one. I saw that they had some beers in there. So I was just approaching it on my way back from a meeting, sort of the middle of the afternoon. I thought, I'll go in, I'll have a look and see what they've got in there. So they had lots of local stuff, including a few up from Bristol as well, a few Wiper and True they had up there. But I thought I'd grab some beers from breweries I've had before, but that I haven't had for a very, very long time. So I'm going to start with Gosta Brewery. Okay. This is their American Pale, 6.4%. They've upped their kind of their game a little bit in terms of
that's nice.
the branding that they're doing on cans now. I think the last thing I had from them was actually in a bottle. So they seem to have made a little bit of a jump. This beer, which is called American Pale, is obviously an American Pale Ale. We don't get much more info than that. It just says tasting notes: tropical, bold grapefruit. Just says barley, oats, hops, yeast, and water. It is vegan. It's got all of their socials on there. Interestingly, it's the first time I've seen it on a can. It has a little branding of the world, and then around it says Earth Conscious Brewing, carbon neutral since 2022.
It's 2020 at the moment.
So they're going to be carbon neutral by 2022.
Right.
Yes. Suddenly I read that.
What year did we skip to?
Hang on. What episode is this? 346. You've gone 4 years without drinking, Lucy.
Oh God, no. Joke's on them. The Earth won't be around in 2022 the way we're going.
We can say whatever we want about the year 2022, can't we? Yeah. Some of us would have probably played Cyberpunk by then, maybe. Who
probably not. Delayed indefinitely.
Isn't that what's happened to Dying Light 2?
Yeah,
been delayed indefinitely.
I was reading, some site, when the news broke, some sites were saying indefinitely and some sites were just saying just delayed. Because indefinitely usually means, it's just cancelled. That game from the Firewatch devs that
in the Valley of the Gods.
Yeah, that was postponed indefinitely, which means it's done. It's never coming back. So,
which is always a shame, especially something like that. But
I think it seems far enough along Dying Light, that is. Although projects do get cancelled late in the day.
They do.
But,
having seen some footage of it, it does look like they have a very polished, and I don't know whether this may have just been a vertical slice, used for promotion and those sorts of things. It was a little bit showing some parkour elements to it, and how they kind of evolved that a little bit since the first game. But it looked pretty polished. It looked, pretty far along. So.
It was very. I'm not sure if it's the same thing that we watched, but maybe it was a trailer that I watched. But it seemed very vertical slicey. It's like none of this will happen in the game. It's like, well, maybe it will, but it just seemed very choreographed. In only game demos are, but maybe it just. I think they're probably just going to push it back to next gen. I mean, it's not as simple as copy and paste, but I imagine it's next gen.
Yeah, I didn't even realise. I know it said we're delaying from spring 2020. I didn't even realise it was coming out in the spring.
I forgot it existed, but that's just because it's not on my radar.
Yes.
It looks cool what it's trying to do. Tried the first Dying Light. Had to put it down after 5 minutes because I got motion sick. So that was fun.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
All that first person parkour was like, nope, this is not happening. That was a save for me for the first Mirror's Edge, but I was able to play Catalyst, so maybe they tweaked that. I can't remember, but
again, goes back to one of our conversations about sort of accessibility and things like that. I would imagine that even with those first-person games and a lot of that jostle, just tweaking the sort of the speed of things like that can just alleviate some of those issues that kind of people find around those sort of fast movement kind of experiences. So yeah, maybe they've, or at least you would hope that Dying Light have maybe gone in a similar kind of direction. Maybe it's things like the frame rate combined with just the speed of how it goes and all of that sort of stuff. But who knows why it's actually delayed.
Yeah. Probably just need more time.
As with everything, yeah. They're all scared. They're all scared of the next gen releases as well.
It's going to be a weird year. How's that beer? It's looking mighty fine.
It is. It's a little more, again, I don't know, it's my light. It looks a little more yellow, I think, on the screen than it is. It's got a bit more of an orangey, bronzy tinge to it. It's probably a better colour comparison back here than it is if I sort of put it up to the screen. It's pretty hazy.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice sort of head, but doesn't stick around on the glass too much. It smelled nice. Definitely those grapefruity tropical fruits coming through. The flavour's a little bit more balanced, a little bit more rounded than just sort of a tropical hit.
What's weird is that I don't think I've ever had beer from these guys, which is strange considering that Gloucester's right bang in the middle between like Bristol and where I live in Birmingham. So
yeah, it's really really close. I haven't seen them for a little while. I don't know whether it's they're probably still in a couple of the bottle shops in Bristol. Maybe they're just not kind of as widespread around. I've been going to Bottles and Books kind of almost exclusively for a little while now. So, and if they don't get them in, then I'm not sort of seeing them. I don't know how big Gosta Brewery are. I seem to remember last time I had a beer from them, they had maybe 5 or 6 different beers in the bottle shop at least. I think it was either in Bristol, at least it was either Brewer's Droop, I think, was the bottle shop that they were in, and that bottle shop tended to pick up more local breweries as well, and a lot of American ones, a lot of German ones as well, but in UK based ones there was a lot more local sort of stuff, so we saw them there, but this is nice. As I say, that flavour is a bit more balanced than just a tropical sort of fruit flavour, and it comes through with those tropical notes almost straight away. You're hit with this very nice grapefruit flavour, a little bit of sweetness to it, and then the grapefruit kind of sours out a little bit and the malts start to kick in a little bit, and we're getting this nice sort of biscuity finish alongside that grapefruit, and where that grapefruit kind of does its thing, and it sours very slightly, gives a little bit of bitterness to it, with that biscuity note just lifting it back up again to retain a little bit of a sort of a slightly sweeter hit. It's mellowing out quite nicely, quite easily.
Yeah.
Unlike the what was it called? Indecision Time, the Burning Sky beer last week, which was just a pale ale that had that that bitter kind of finish. This doesn't to the same extent. It's actually a lot more mellow, and the bitterness is there, but it's coming more from, I think, from the grapefruit flavour than them having chucked in a load of bittering hops or something like that to give it a big boost sort of towards the end. I think it's just a natural way that this beer flows that gives that bitterness with the grapefruit kicking through. But yeah, it's a nice combination of the malts in there as well with that fruitiness.
So well balanced beer.
Yeah, absolutely, very easy. I can't remember whether the beers I'd had from Gloucester before were sort of more modern styles. I know some of the beers they had done were a bit more traditional, English bitter and stouts and things like that. Yeah. I'm sure that I have had some more modern takes from these guys before, but this is nice. Definitely a kind of a more modern beer for them. Absolutely.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look out for them, because I don't know if it's the lack of beer I've had recently, but that looks mighty fine.
You can see they got a nice. They split their kind of their logo a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice change up to their branding on their cans. They still had a couple of bottles in the service station where I picked these up. So I don't know if they've fully transitioned across, or maybe that was older stock. I don't know. I didn't look at like best before dates and all those sorts of things on anything. This one doesn't. It gives me a best before date on the bottom, which is towards the end of the year in November, but it doesn't give me sort of a brewed on date. But I imagine if I've got a November best before, then it's not that old, I wouldn't imagine.
I'm gonna have to go into more service stations and find these beers. Well, to be honest, not the whole of the Midlands. Birmingham was just 5 years ago. It was like desert land. It was like if you watched Mad Max, and just like nothing there in terms of beer. It was just a wasteland. So I long for the day where I can just go into a random service station and there's a pretty decent beer from like Burning Soul there.
Yeah. And you do get it a lot in Bristol as well, where you can just pop into I don't know, like a Budgeon's or something like that. One of these sort of shop chains which are attached to a petrol station, and they will have a couple of good beers in there. I ended up having a 4-pack of just Goose Island IPA last night. Because we've got a co-op down the road. They had that in there. The other offering, sort of craft-wise, was Punk. I think they had a couple of beers from Vocation in there as well. They're hitting sort of the same notes. But Co-op have always kind of been one of those places that will have a contract with one of the local breweries. So there are a couple of co-ops that I've been into in Bristol which had Bristol Beer Factory beers in.
Nice, yeah.
Some of their sort of staples, the stout they do, Southfield Hop, Independence, things like that. And I've seen those in co-ops. Co-op next to me doesn't seem to do that.
That sucks, yeah. A co-op round the corner from me. I've told this story before, but they stock Brummy brewery cans, which look like they've fallen off the literal back of a van because they're always a bit battered. And so, yeah. But when I'm in there on the odd occasion, I do pick one or two up, and the clerk always says you're the only one who buys these. Which makes sense.
So you might as well just drop the price and know that I'm going to come in and just get all of them.
Exactly, they should. Or just give me a special discount just for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You can imagine that they get to a point in the brewery where they've got a pallet on the forklift, and that one goes into the truck to be taken to this bottle shop. This one goes in the truck to be taken to this bar. This one's then distributed around, and they get to just the last the last pallet on the stack, just at the bottom, which is just a bit battered, and go, "That's the co-op pallet.
Yeah.
We'll send it over to co-op." They can split it between these 3 co-ops around here, and just 10 cans each.
Yep, pretty much. Well, that's the way things are.
It is.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about some video games?
Well, you certainly can.
I can. I can talk about Death Stranding.
Yeah. I want to hear about it. I want to hear your thoughts.
I did manage to find half an hour to play Frog Detective 2 though, as well.
Oh, okay.
And
we can both talk about it.
Did you finish it?
Yes, I did, because it's about 45 minutes long. In one sitting, would you believe it? So
yeah, mine's been 2 sittings, because I think I managed to get like a 15-minute session in, and then I've had maybe another 15-minute session.
Yeah.
So I think it's there's probably not a huge amount left for me.
Yeah.
Now, but I wanted to kind of get your take on it, having finished it as well, because we both played the first. So it's what's the subtitle to it? The Invisible Wizard.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot more of the same. There's very slight differences in, but I think the slight differences are not necessarily mechanical. At first, you're thinking when it introduces them, basically the main difference in this one is that you've got your notepad, your notebook, where you list the suspects and make notes in them. But the notes are auto-generated once you've spoken to that particular person of interest, and it's just, rather than mechanical, it's just more opportunity for comedy. I find it, because the synopsis of each character it's probably what 3 different pointers to them, and it's like it's just
3 or 4.
it's just amusing what they write. Like, this person doesn't want to be questioned. The fact that they don't want to be questioned makes them more suspicious, and it's just another added layer of comedy rather than anything that's more engrossing from a gameplay point of view. But yeah, it's more of the same. It's very much a very distilled down adventure game. It's like, oh, this person needs this thing, so I go and find that. Once I give it to that person, they then give me this, which I can give to another person. So it's just fetch quest, the game. It's very surface level. But yeah, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, like, if I had one of these once a year, which it seems like it could very much, be a pattern for it, because they've both come out in December of the last 2 years, so it's just a nice, easy going, low impact, low stress, comical 45 minutes worth of just a few good laughs, and I enjoyed it.
I think that's sort of the main takeaway from me as well, is that it hasn't changed a huge amount, but the writing has not improved, I would say, but it feels a little bit more confident. In the first game, there were those kind of they'd make a joke out of maybe like the awkward silence where they didn't want to respond to the frog detective. They didn't want to give him an answer, so they made a joke out of the awkward silence. Whereas now the joke is that is the joke sort of thing, and then they move on from it very quickly, or they will actually say something about it. It seems to almost have jumped up a level in that regard, to kind of almost critique the first game and its own sort of and the writing in that in its own sort of way.
Meta,
It seems like just a very clever way to produce something similar, but to have just that extra layer to it, to give it a little bit more complexity as well.
Yeah, and it's a particular form of, comedy. It may not be for everyone, but yeah, it's just a nice bit of levity, and I can just remember like certain moments that made me laugh out loud. Like, I don't know if you're talking to that. What was that animal? He's in the hot tub.
The deer, like a reindeer deer type thing. Yeah,
and how rude he is. It just comes out with like some one-liners. I can't remember what he said, but it was so rude. I was like, "Damn, really?" I was like, "How dare you?" But it made me laugh. But yeah,
I did.
It's good.
I did try, and he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, "Oh, I picked up a pie. I'll try and give him the pie."
Yeah.
And obviously, I wasn't meant to give him the pie, and he comes back. And sort of says, "You've made two mistakes. You tried to give me a pie from the ground, and you tried to give me a pie that wasn't yours to give." And then the frog detective's like, "Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Like, apologizes twice for each of the transgressions. Like, it seems so. It's almost like super polite as well. Yeah. So even with this deer being really rude, the frog detective is still so polite, and to be a frog detective and not be accusatory in any sort of way, and just like dances around the idea that actually someone's done something wrong. I did like where is it the rhino, the one that sings? She extorts you. And in the notes in the book it says, "I've never been extorted before. It's exciting," or, something like that. And you're just like, okay, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's very deadpan. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just like this frog. I think it's the way the characters are drawn as well. It's just their big, vacant eyes, and it's really good. But
it is. I'm enjoying it. I will definitely.
You haven't solved the mystery yet.
No, not yet. I will. I will take some time. Whether that's an extra sort of 20 minutes needed to finish it. It will be, I think, interesting to see, kind of like the back half of it, how you go about actually accusing someone and what happens when you do that sort of thing. Because with the first game, it was more of a mystery to solve than an actual kind of case, if you know what I mean.
This is on those lines as well.
Okay.
I'll just say,
yeah.
Don't expect LA Noire.
Try and read their faces, like they're lying to me. What's going on?
And just be like shouting at them hysterically and aggressively when you're just like, no, I just wanted you to question them a bit, just Cole's going, no, don't lie to me. It's goes from 0 to 60.
And then I just wait for the dance scene as well. I love dancing in LA Noire, but there's got to be a dance scene at some point, I would think, in this.
Yeah. Did you I was going to say, did you play the DLC for LA Noire? I forgot that was even a thing.
Oh, I don't know.
There was like DLC cases. Anyway, that was just
yes, yeah, they were.
I didn't play any of them.
No, I don't think I did. I think once I did I finish LA Noire? Maybe.
Oh no, I did. I
so long
barely
ago
remember
now.
anything about the. Yeah, what was that? 2010.
Didn't it re-release on Switch? Didn't it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to play it on Switch, yeah.
Yeah.
For £40 or something ridiculous like that.
Absurd. Rockstar just trying to make a little bit more money.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's on back compat at this point.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
Or it's on. Yeah, you'll find it on some kind of subscription service,
Steam?
like Game Pass or Steam, like cheap or something like that. Yeah, it's got to be on Steam as well.
I'd imagine because it was Team Bondi that made it, and they're no longer around. So. Yeah, I imagine it's on Steam. I think GTA 4, there was a story that GTA 4 got taken off from Steam.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did read that.
Who knows why?
We've chatted around, because I seem to remember Adol pointed out they had to remove all of the songs because
that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they only had the license to be able to use it for a certain amount of time, and they just don't renew it, because why would they on a 10, 12 year-old game. So GTA 4, I think, lost all of its songs, or they just took it off. I can't remember exactly what happened with it.
There needs to be a better, like, I mean, these contracts were drawn up God knows how many years ago, but that needs to be better, because it's like, in the case of GTA especially, those songs make the game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe was it San Andreas, when you're at flight school, which is the most tedious part of that game. And you just remember Sweet Child of Mine playing when you're like finishing the last course, and it's just like, thank God it's over. It's like, what's playing there? Like, just, I don't know, Lady Gaga or something like that.
Like stock music, track 12 or something like that. They had that original score kind of put in. It's not the same. I remember like Vice City, because that was it was like the jump. Where actually we went from, I think in Grand Theft Auto 3, it wasn't full songs, it was just like snippets of them, and I don't know whether that was to get around like rights issues and things like that. I don't think it was those, like, because you can use like stuff for 30 seconds for free, can't you, without having to pay for it. I can't remember if it's around that sort of thing, but suddenly you jump into Vice City and it's just the whole song.
Yeah.
And then there'll be like a little quip from Laszlo or one of the other radio DJs, and then they'd kick straight into another song.
Yeah.
And you're like, perfect. This is brilliant. Like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. If I'm driving around a city just with the radio on, it's a full song. And one of my first experiences of GTA was as a kid with the first GTA was playing it with the Offspring Americana album just on in the background rather than listening to the music in the game, and just cruising the streets, like me and my brother trying to see whether we could get like a fast car, and just how far round the city we could get before we just crashed or got picked up by the cops and that sort of stuff. And like having that continuous stream of music like you would do with the radio really does help with these sorts of things. So it's definitely one where any kind of change to that, just sort of, if you've experienced it already, would take away from revisiting something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame.
It is.
Well, I guess they can't really. I don't think, is Vice City on Steam?
Don't know.
I don't think it is. No,
I can't bring Steam up because it will kill our faces when it pops up in front of it. It's the issue with not having two screens anymore. Boo.
Yeah, I don't because I imagine the San Andreas, if it is on Steam, it would have been that mobile version. Because all those games came to mobile at some point. I don't think Vice City ever did. I have no idea.
Well, they had the smaller experiences, didn't they? They had like Vice City Stories, Liberty City Stories, but they were all PSP games, weren't they?
I think they got ported to Vita.
They definitely got ported to PS3, I think.
Okay.
Like a year or so after the fact. What am I searching for? Vice City. Let's see if I can bring it up on my Steam app. Yeah. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, £2.09p.
Oh wow. Maybe it's the mobile version.
Let's have a look.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if Automatic is still playing in the club.
No, probably not. I wonder what it says. I don't know what version this is. That
song's at least 50, 60 years old now. When do things enter public domain? We'll be playing GTA for the original soundtrack probably in about 30 years. Then we can go back.
I don't know. You can actually buy the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which they class as Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas.
Okay.
Currently on offer for the next few days until the 27th of January for £5.09p.
Very good.
Adul's got all those.
Oh yeah.
Just in his
They're already in his
library.
Steam library.
Yeah.
Those games play very badly nowadays.
They do.
Yeah. It was surprising how well Bully held up, and that still feels fine to play. What was that, a year after San Andreas or something? But it was a scholarship edition. I don't think they changed the controls in the scholarship edition.
No, I don't even know what they put in for the scholarship edition. Whether it was just, I don't think there was DLC for Bully.
Extra classes. I enjoyed the
stay at school longer after school. So just to look at some reviews, someone has posted on the 15th of January. They've played of Vice City 10 hours.
Okay.
And it says good soundtracks, good vibes, good times. So I'd imagine that the soundtrack is still active on the game.
Yeah.
Unless they've put in, a much reduced down version and this person hasn't played the original. I don't know. I have to pay £2.9p to see, and I don't really want to.
I wouldn't suggest it. We've lived that. Yeah, I want Rockstar's all of their games past the library to come to Steam. That'd be fun. Or their launcher or whatever it is that they've got now. Just put all your
social club thing.
Yeah, just put all your old crap on there. Table tennis, Midnight Club.
I'm pretty sure Max Payne 3 and stuff, but they didn't. Whilst they did Max Payne 3, I don't think they did the first two, did they?
No, that was Remedy.
Yes. Strange, isn't it? How just an IP gets chucked to someone
same
completely
with Red
different.
Dead. Yeah,
like
Red Dead and
literally the Wild West of games back then. Just whoever they decided, because wasn't the first Red Dead Capcom? I think. That's not who made it, but that's who was making it, making the first one, and it went to a certain dev, and was completely different to how Red Dead Revolver actually ended up being. I seem to remember off the top of my head.
I never played it. I remember seeing like screens of it and looking it up after it had come out, but never played it myself.
Clint Eastwood on the front cover of the game.
They're shameless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want them to bring back State of Emergency. Those are just
Bloody
fun arcadey games, It sort of reminds me of what I like about Dead Rising.
Yeah. Would you want them to bring it back as it is, or would you want them to make a new game?
Make a new game for all your funds. Scrap the next GTA. You don't need GTA 6. Come on,
that's true.
But just GTA 5 is still like the #1 selling game in every chart ever. So just channel all those funds. Let's make £100 million State of Emergency game.
Nice.
Do
it. Was GTA 5 was the best-selling game of the decade, wasn't it? As well.
Yeah.
I seem to think from that NDP chart that came out, in the top 10 were pretty much all Call of Duty games, and then a couple of other things, including GTA 5.
Yeah.
So they've got enough money to sort of do whatever they want, really, haven't they?
Yeah. Just release. Just put 10 people on team. 10, 20 people, make a arcadey State of Emergency game.
It doesn't need many.
Sell it for £15 on the eShop, on the PSN, and
They could do it easy. Come on, Rockstar.
Yeah, sort it out.
Get sorted.
I'd love to see some new IP from them. I don't actually want a GTA 6. GTA 5 was okay at best. Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic game. I mean, for me personally, it was it was alright.
Yeah, I felt similarly. It didn't. I think I actually prefer 4 to 5.
5 is my least favourite for sure.
We've had this conversation before, haven't we? Charting through them. 4 is. I don't know. Something about Nico, which just kind of at that time just felt really good and felt right. Like, you know, this immigrant into the States, you know, having all of this shit kind of go on around him, and it being, you know, not being that different to like war-torn Serbia or wherever it was that he'd come from.
Old country. They didn't specify.
Yes, just Eastern Europe somewhere. So
it's something gritty about GTA 4, which I much preferred.
Absolutely.
5.
Maybe it's just the different vibe from the New York setting to the you know, the LA setting, I suppose.
Yeah. Plus they had done LA, and it was done well and better, in my opinion, in San Andreas. So fair enough. That was 90s LA compared to modern day in GTA 5. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what a next GTA would be at this point. So.
No, it's quite a hard one to kind of speculate on, because I can't see them going outside of America.
No, they'll probably do it in Brexit Britain. I can see that. Yeah.
Oh, it's just everyone being racist to everyone else.
I mean, Ubisoft are doing it, and they're going to say it's absolutely not political.
Of course,
even though it's like that
it's
the
all about
picture of that game
state,
is,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, it's not political at all.
There are no political undertones in this whatsoever. It's just someone going out having fun, recruiting people to their, you know, their club. Their club and everyone else.
Their fun club. Their fun fascist club, yeah. Quick aside about Ubisoft. I'm glad they're shaking it up over there, because none of their games have interested me in the last... almost the last decade, you know. Apart from their smaller... Apart from South Park. And stuff like Valiant Hearts. Nothing has interested me in this...
Which again, Valiant Hearts, years ago now.
Yeah, and the Splinter Cell, I think, lead on like Splinter Cell Conviction and Blacklist is back there, but that doesn't mean much until I actually see the free green lights.
Yeah, you'll probably get an HD version of that before you actually get a new game.
I don't need a HD version of Splinter Cell. Of any of them. All of them are like backwards compatible as well. So.
Yeah, and Blacklist,
and they hold up.
Wasn't that long ago?
It's 2013.
Yeah, so what, we're talking 7 years, and it still looks good.
Yeah, that's ages, Ben. I need a new Splinter Cell, man.
It is, but as you say, it holds up still. Like, it looks good. The lighting on it's really good still. The gameplay is fun.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I suppose, probably Blacklist is probably I would say the smoothest of all of them. In terms of like movement and flowing, kind of being able to move around the environments and things like that. So yeah, I would imagine the next one would just be Splinter Cell. I'm glad that they didn't make it under this like current, not regime, but their current approach, because it would have just been, let's just make some crappy open world Splinter Cell, put multiplayer in it and all that garbage. It's like, no, just want good Splinter Cell. Yeah, I was going to say it would be easy for them to. I mean, it wouldn't be easy for them to, but they could take the like the Wildlands engine, considering they've kind of already teased Sam Fisher and all of that sort of stuff in there. Oh, he's been in it. Did his character actually appear in it, or did they just tease it a little bit
in a DLC?
And you know, they could take that engine and work on it from them, but it would need a little bit more refinement for, you know, to get the same kind of experience that you got from the later Splinter Cell games, and that Wildlands doesn't quite, or at least my experience with Wildlands doesn't quite give you. I mean, other players may be fucking shit hot on Wildlands, or whatever the new one was, Breakpoint. Yeah, and
imagine just Breakpoint just tanked the whole of Ubisoft.
Mate, the whole of Ubisoft tanked fucking last year. I've seen the Division 2 is currently at like 85% off. You know, they're selling it for like 10 quid.
But surely that was probably the best-selling game, one of the best-selling games last year. I thought that would have done well. I thought the people who... Maybe it was one of those where it just didn't bring in a new audience and just everybody who liked the first one bought the second one and it didn't go beyond that, maybe.
Maybe.
But it's not political. Remember.
Let's have a look. Let's see what Google tells me. Top 10 best-selling video games of 2019. Just to see if it... it's only top 10. See if it actually poked its head in.
The Quiet Man.
Holy shit. Number 10. Anthem.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That game sold very well.
How many EA games have we got to see? Number 9.
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Makes sense. Star Wars.
So we came in super late to the year though to have done that well. Yeah. Number 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 7, The Division 2. So it did hit the top 10. So it did sell quite well.
And the rest are Nintendo, Minecraft, and GTA.
No, mate, no.
What?
Kingdom Hearts 3 is number 6. Mortal Kombat 11 is number 5.
Yeah.
Borderlands 3 is number 4.
Good for them.
Madden NFL 20 is number 3. NBA 2K20 is number 2. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare is number 1.
Yeah.
You'd expect Call of Duty to be up there. You'd expect some of the sports games to be up there as well. Surprised FIFA isn't in there.
Is that worldwide? Is that just the US, or is that...
Oh, that's a good point. Where did I get this from? This is from Business Insider. It's NPD data.
Yeah.
But who fucking knows? Because it doesn't tell me. Doesn't tell me.
Yeah. Well,
it may tell me somewhere, but I've skimmed. It just says these are the top 10 best-selling games of 2019 as of November 30th, according to data from the NPD group.
Okay.
And if you click on that, it just takes me to their Twitter account.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's bad, but it's good for Anthem. You know, new IP, number 10. That's strange. I knew it was sold well, but it's strange to have like a new IP in there which would have been celebrated in any other.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it wasn't Anthem, which is apparently god awful. So.
Well, I think it was telling that they brought it to EA Access quite quickly as well.
Is it on EA Access?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to open another beer, mate. I'm going to open another beer. So, this one is warmed a little bit, which is quite good because it is a stout. Yep. This is the Big Cat Stout from Stroud Brewery, who again are another Gloucestershire-based brewery. This is 4.5%. Has a little bit of text. Our uncaged, bottle-conditioned stout with a silky complexity of dark roast malts started out as our pet project. We have our fair share of big cat sightings around Stroud, but this is one big cat you can take home and tame. Again, just ingredients, just saying like water, organic barley malt, organic wheat malt, organic oats, organic hops, yeast. Super organic.
Is that a callback to like that time when that policeman? No, somebody called in saying that there was like a tiger in a field somewhere, and like there was like a police sting for it, and then like several hours later, they realised it was a stuffed toy.
Fucking really?
Yeah. I'll send you the.
Oh dear.
It was about like, it's got to be like maybe 8 to 10 years ago or something like that.
There's always, like the Beast of Bodmin Moor. There's always those kind of the ideas that there are big cats kind of out there in various locations. I didn't know there was one up around Stroud. I obviously there is for them to have named this. You know, I can understand maybe a very small amount of is it lynx that used to be up in like the Scottish mountains and stuff, you know, if there's a sighting of those, because they've gone undetected for however many years, and suddenly someone has seen, you know, one of them. But yeah, Stroud doesn't seem like the kind of place that you would get big cats. But then Dartmoor doesn't as well, I suppose, does it? Let's take a look at this beer. It is. Go on.
I think it was in Scotland.
Oh, what?
Toy tiger sparks armed police standoff on Scottish farm.
Fucking hell.
To be honest, it is a big stuffed toy, so. Yeah.
How long were they staring at it for, though? Just trained, you know, with a gun, just pointing at it.
Nearly an hour. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
It was an hour. So.
Got like a day.
Or army flown him.
Mate, they're just there's just a couple of Scottish police up there, like, nah, mate, we know it's a cuddly toy, but we just can't be fucked to do any more work. Let's just hang out here. Just
like, get the pizza in,
keep
boys.
Calling it in, yeah.
Well, that was funny. It was like a Siberian coloured tiger as well.
Oh, like a white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how easy that would be to mistake, obviously, for something that hasn't moved for you know 40 minutes or something.
Well, cats are lazy; they don't tend to move that much, so fair enough.
That's true. They do get more. They move quite a lot just to change how comfortable they are in their position. True. So this stout, it's got a lovely roasted nose to it. Really big roasted nose as well, and you can see it's, you know, as you would expect it to be. Interestingly, the last few stouts I've have had a very brown head. This is actually very light. It's actually quite white. There's not much to it at all, but it's a lot lighter than the previous stouts I've had over the last few weeks. Yeah. I don't know whether that's something to do with the organicness of all of the bits in here. Who knows? I don't know. But taste-wise, it's nice. It's very, very easy. Again, I think it's only about 4.5%.
Yeah, 4.5, I think he said.
It doesn't come across with a huge, big hit. It's not a huge flavour. But it's just this nice, rich, roasted, very slightly coffee kind of stout. It's not doing anything huge. It's not doing anything to deviate from just a pretty standard stout. It's quite thin. Again, it's 4.5%, so expect it to be a little bit sort of more watery. But it's just a good stout. It's just a good, easy stout. It's now warmed up from having been in the, warmed up here for the last sort of 40 minutes after being in the fridge for a couple of hours. So it's probably around about 8-ish degrees, maybe 10 degrees, something like that. So it's just right. It's just hitting the spot perfectly.
Yeah, that's one thing. If one was to have a New Year's resolution, it'd be to enjoy lower percentage stouts, because I always just want that really heavy, 8, 9 above stat ABV in my stout, or just not even the alcohol content, just I just want a bit of fullness, more body to it, but
those big thick boys.
Yeah. But it's a lot of the porters or deals I've had recently, and some of the stouts that you've had. It's they're lower ABV. Yes, why not? I mean, this is what stouts traditionally were. I mean, it was only when they became imperial strength when they started getting shipped elsewhere to cope with the journey. So, I want to get more accustomed to just enjoying a stout for what it is, even if it's not full bodied and.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's first experience of a stout is Guinness as well, which has that heaviness to it. It's got that kind of velvety thickness in its body, and I think most people kind of will have that as their first stout and just expect all stouts to be like that. This this is a stout, but Guinness isn't sort of like a traditional stout. It is Guinness. It's its own thing, rather than, you know, they've done something else with the stout rather than just being another stout kind of on the shelf. So and you can get slightly thinner Guinness, can't you? They've put out the cans with the white label on, with the older style, more traditional label on, which are a little bit thinner. They don't have the little things, the widgets in the cans to keep the sort of the smoothness to them and things. So I think, as you say, it's nice to have a stout that's just a stout. Adel had Becoming North a few weeks ago, a stout from Good Chemistry, which is just a good stout. It's not trying to do anything big. It is nice to have those chili stouts, or a super rich chocolatey imperial stout or something every now and again. But yeah, like you, I think even with kind of all the beer styles, I think it's definitely one where we've gone to so many different kind of extremes all over the place with all these different beer styles, that it's nice to find someone that just goes, this is just a pale ale. We've just tried to make the best pale ale we could. It's tried to keep to a more traditional recipe that we came up with, and we've just iterated on it a little bit, sorted out a couple of hops, refined it a little bit, but it is just a good session pale ale that you can just have all day. And it would be good to kind of to see those a little bit more.
Agreed. Traditional styles sometimes good. That was very good.
So, shall I talk about Death Stranding a little bit?
Yes.
What an odd fucking experience.
You think?
Yeah, it really is. I know when I came on and I spoke about Jedi Fallen Order, was it last week? Or the week before?
Yes, no, it was last week. Yeah.
I was a little bit negative, I think is the nicest way to say that. There were definitely more negative points than positive points.
Yeah, I think people are starting to come around on Jedi Fallen Order. I think people are like, this isn't that great, you know? It's like, I think people were crying out for a decent Star Wars adventure game.
Absolutely.
They got one, it sounds decent, but I think people are like, oh wait, actually, there's a lot wrong with this. But,
yeah, and again, I think it coming from someone like Respawn gave it a certain level of expectation too, and they're trying something new. You know, it's kind of a new style for them. You can see where they've taken on certain things from their previous games in how you traverse the spaces and things like that. But that's kind of Souls-like idea of resting and everything respawning and having to do the spaces again is kind of new for them, and and that's fine. I think Death Stranding builds very well off of all of Kojima's previous titles, and it is something very different to a lot of his previous titles. I think it's much more successful in that regard than Jedi Fallen Order, and unlike Jedi Fallen Order, I don't think I've got a bad thing to say about it at the moment.
Okay, that's good.
I don't have any negatives around it. Like, the story is out there and complex and delivered in, those bursts that kind of Kojima does. Here's a burst of story. Now kind of be able to have a load of gameplay, and then here's a bit more story. That kind of experience that you get with a Kojima game. And it feels that it's paced in a way that, unlike with the Metal Gear games, which were a little bit more, here's some story, do this section of the game, here's some story, do this section of the game, quite linear kind of corridors, even though they may have been bigger areas in some of the games. You had to, and especially with with 5, you had those big maps that you could go in, do this bit, come out. Your thing was to be here, get there, and then get out again. Death Stranding is a bit more kind of a bit more open, this whole idea about delivering packages and that sort of thing, I think is much more of an excuse for you to explore and experience the setting that they have created, to find out exposition about the world, to encounter humans who want to take all of your stuff, or the BTs, which these, whatever the BTs are, I don't know yet, aliens or ghosts or what, multi-interdimensional beings. I've got no idea still. But what, you know, it's kind of like you have to deliver this here, and to do that you have to move through this area which is full of BTs. So you have to deal with that. This is a way to get you to kind of do that. But actually, I don't have to do that. I can just do this delivery over here, or this delivery over here. I've got to do that at some point, sure. But I can kind of take things at my own pace. And that's quite nice. You know, I find that that's what I want more and more from games at the moment. It's actually one of the things that I liked about No Man's Sky when it first released, that actually it was a little bit directionless.
Yeah. That
I did just have that ability to kind of explore and travel around and not really have a destination in mind. So kind of on top of this experience, and on top of this as a game, is this odd social media platform type thing, where this whole idea about strands, you know, that he's put in, this is a strand game, or that kind of thing. And I remember saying to you that I can see how this had built off of the like the mother base and the forward operating base stuff from Metal Gear 5, that you're sharing certain resources. You're sharing likes. Someone can put once you bring the area that you're exploring onto the network, which is part of the story. Once you've done that, you can see lots of stuff that other players have done, whether they've left a ladder in a certain place for you to be able to move across to traverse the environment, whether they have left a sign up to warn you that there are BTs or mules, which are the human enemies, coming up for you, whether they have contributed to building roads. All of these sorts of things ties in with this kind of like social aspect to it. And I found that as you do deliveries, you kind of, I don't know, you upgrade slightly. You don't choose any of these upgrades. It's on this star shape. And each of the points is a certain thing. So I think it's like delivery time, cargo weight, cargo condition, and one of them is then like the social aspect. And all of mine were expanding apart from this social aspect. And then once I progressed into the third chapter, I don't know whether this is just part of the structure of how the game is made, that it is then in the third chapter that this sort of comes into its own. Suddenly, I had I laid down a route enough in my game, and a reused route enough in my game, that had obviously then started to appear in other people's games. And they then used that route and had liked that route, and suddenly I went from level 0 on this social aspect to like level 40 or something like that, because suddenly I turned the game on and it went, you've had 40,000 likes.
Oh wow.
And it just went ping 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 ping, and I was like, fucking hell, okay, alright, sure. What does this do? And every time it kind of the point on the star fills up because you've done enough, it makes you a little bit better. You know, if you increase the bar for carrying cargo, you can carry a little bit more. If you increase the socials bar, you can create more contracts between you and other people. You get longer to like things, you know, that sort of stuff. So it's all very light elements in that kind of respect.
Are you now an influencer?
Ooh, I don't know. We'll see when I log back on, because I haven't played it since at some point yesterday. Get on and be like, you've got 4 likes. I'm like, wow. It's just I have to have those likes. Where are those likes? Come on. It's just like when I open up Instagram and go, Follow us at Tanked Up Cast on Instagram. So it's an interesting element to the game.
That's the most interesting sounding part of this game.
Yes.
That because whereas Mother Base, I didn't play much of MGS5.
Yeah.
But was the Mother Base more antagonistic, whereas you were infiltrating other people's bases? This in Death Stranding, it seems more, as you say, like coming together and communal.
Absolutely, it's very cooperative.
Which sounds
yes,
like a much better, because other games have done the attack enemies, other games and stuff like that. I remember, was it Watch Dogs? I remember that was like the first one.
Yes, you could. Yeah, you could go into other people's games, or you could do certain things.
Yeah, you could start hacking other players. This seems way more. This seems way nicer and way less annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can, you can very easily see where that spark in MGS5 kind of has been taken to. And yeah, you set up your forward operating base, and people would then invade it, and you had to put in blokes to stop them, and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Whereas this is, even if you drop some cargo on the ground that you're carrying, and you move too far away from it, you then lose it. It's gone from your game world, but that will then appear in someone else's game world, and they can pick it up and they can place it in a base or in a post box and deliver it back to you. Yeah. So you can then reclaim that if someone has been kind enough to do that.
Cool. Yeah.
And I'll just be wandering the earth and just ping my little that little hand that's on his shoulder, and that will tell me where certain cargo is, and I can look at things and be like, okay, that's cargo for the town over there, but I'm actually going in a completely opposite direction, so I won't get that at the moment. And then you'll see something which is just like lost cargo from another player. Like, oh yeah, I'll go over and get that. And then now it's been more materials, because I'm starting to build roads, and I want I've just got to a point where I've got weapons, so I want to craft certain things suddenly. So I'm more interested in like the materials that you can find and get, and it is a really interesting set of systems, kind of all brought together in this package, which I think on paper seems laughable, but actually works quite well. Yeah. I don't think he's gone overboard so far, at least on the story.
Right.
I don't think he's gone overboard on the gameplay. Everything works very well together. I know Sony funded some of this, and they could have given him 5 years, but they didn't. I think they probably said, look, we will get you set up, we will help you, but we need something by the end of 2019, or it was probably meant to come out earlier, wasn't it? More than likely. Yeah. And they helped him with the Decima engine and all of these sorts of things. And actually, I think it's quite an achievement that they have produced this level of game in such a short space of time. Yeah, building
a whole new studio and stuff like that. Yeah, I was surprised the turnaround. I was surprised it came out last year. So.
I mean, everyone in that studio worked 24 hours a day for 3 years, but they did.
Well, they all bought into the vision, and
I mean, must have done.
One thing you got to respect is, Sony fronting the money for something which is just like a bonkers project, which probably nobody would have said that they had wanted in a like focus testing group. So
yeah, absolutely.
Not niche, given that it is like the money that went into it and stuff like that. But yeah, like just a strange, bizarre thing.
Can you imagine if the group of 20 to 30 gamers sat around at like a round table session, and someone from Sony walks in and goes, "So you've got Kojima's next game in front of you, and what you have to do is send as many likes as possible
whilst being Postman Pat.
And, and you can just see all these people go, nah, thanks. And I think it's brilliant that, Sony are doing this kind of shit where they've gone to, like From Software, and gone, we want your exclusive, we want the next game that you put out to be an exclusive on the PS4. And they've gone, well, actually, we've got this gothic horror game that we've been kind of working on. They go, yeah, brilliant, let's have that experience on the PS4.
Yeah.
They've gone to Kojima and said, we want to help you set up, we want to fund your next game. What are you, what are you chatting? What's the idea that you've got? And he goes, this is it. And they go, sure, why not? Let's crack on.
It's bold. I just wish they would have given that money to someone whose games align with me more, and who I think probably would have deserved it more. I don't know. Give that money to John Romero or Warren Spector or something. Not that they may not have their own money, but it's just like
it's something they used to do, didn't they? They used to do the like the smaller indie fund, where they would fund a studio to put out a game. And I don't think it always had to be a PlayStation exclusive, but what's it called? The Tom Happ Metroidvania Axiom Verge.
Axiom Verge, yeah.
That was funded by PlayStation.
Oh, was it?
In its original...
give him money. Don't give Kojima money. Give him money.
I don't know whether they stopped that or not. I know you can...
anyone money.
I know you can apply as such to... if you're an indie developer, to see if you can get funding from them and become like a partner and those sorts of things. So stuff still kind of exists in that essence. And, Microsoft will do the same. I would imagine Nintendo are probably doing the same.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I think, bold for PlayStation to go here, rather than coming and saying, work for us, saying, here's some money, make what you want. Unlike Microsoft's current approach, which is, this looks interesting, we'll buy your studio.
Yeah. At least Tim Schafer will get all the money he needs.
He deserves all that money.
It's like, I'd rather give 20 million to Tim Schafer over Kojima. I'd be like, here, just make a pixel art point and click adventure. 2 people will buy.
But at least
here's 20
at least with Tim Schafer, 20 million, you'd get 10 games. So you're fine.
Death Stranding. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and it hasn't gone into just the realm of bizarre where nobody can get on board. I'm glad.
I've seen some commentary and bits about very lengthy cutscenes and things like that much later on. Okay. So it will it's still to be seen whether we do get into that side of crazy.
I think I watched one clip. I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't know if you watched it, but I was just like, oh boy. And obviously it's out of context, but I was just like, this is
was someone breathing through their skin or something?
No, it had to do for beach, which the whole game has to do with beaches. So if you don't know what I'm talking about,
a bit confused about. That's the bit I'm a bit confused about.
I think you're meant to be confused. I think it's meant to be ambiguous. And I don't think there's meant to be answers to the many questions.
I mean, there's so much. They've done really well to hide that they don't know what the fuck is going on. In a lot of the exposition, you can read interviews, like data kind of tapes and this sort of thing, where some of the characters will be, well, yes, before the Death Stranding, people used to do this, but we've got no idea why. Ha 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 ha. You're like, oh, so you've just made something up, and you don't know why you've made it up, and you don't know why people were doing it, but you just said that they were doing it. Sure, fair enough.
It seems like things are like obscured because they didn't fill in those plot holes, and yet the parts of the plot which are like very obvious and just have too much exposition. That's what I've heard. But
yeah, we shall see. I know Adam was interested in hearing about it, so, and I will probably
we'll talk about it another week when you play some more.
Yeah, I'll probably be playing this again for the next. It's probably my main game, I guess, for the next few weeks. So expect some more indie titles to discuss next week as kind of my offsetting for Death Stranding whilst I'm still getting through it. And I don't know how many hours I've played, maybe 15 or
you got like another
around there.
40 to go or something.
Maybe some people have put in like 120 hours.
Oh wow. I guess it must be therapeutic delivering those packages. I played Wilmot's Warehouse and that was 6 hours and that's all I need. And that was stressful.
Another game about packages, but it's a little bit different, isn't it? It's about organisation.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
There's no weird things like, what are they called? Still mothers? Or something like just that one word will make sure that I never played Death Stranding, because I was like, this guy probably has never even met a woman in his life. So to comment on birth and the role of women in parenthood, I don't want to know what Kojima.
Yeah, I've not really got into a huge amount of that yet. So a lot of the stuff, like it's got Mads Mikkelsen as well.
Yeah.
So far, I've only experienced him through BB, the baby.
Yeah, the baby.
I have not got anything further than that with that kind of storyline and stuff yet. But that is rendered fucking fantastically. You look at that. Kim looked at that and went, "What are you watching? Like, what is Mads Mikkelsen in? What is this?" I'm like, no, this is the game. This is how it looks.
This is the next season of Hannibal.
Yeah, and there was it fucking could be. And then one of the characters, Fragile. It was a still image of her on the loading screen. And Kim went, "Fuck that! You can even see the indentation of the piercing in her ear.
Okay.
Like, there wasn't an earring in, but like the detail is phenomenal, and it shows you. We all thought Horizon Zero Dawn looked great, and I think this kind of it's taken that engine and just taken it to that next level.
Yeah.
And you'd hope then that Horizon 2 then lifts it again. The textures, the ground coverage, the foliage, like everything going on just looks fucking phenomenal. And it's one of those games that you get those moments, as you do with things like Red Dead, where you can crest a hill and he has perfectly timed where a song track will kick in. And you crest that hill and this crescendo from the song just kicks in and you're like, fucking just look at this. And it is like a breath, it's just to see that. And it's going to be even better when it releases on PC later this year.
Yeah, true.
To see what a high-end PC can
I just want to
get
see
out
the
of
mods.
that.
Whatever mods. The goose carrying like 25 packages on his back.
Every enemy is Thomas the Tank Engine again. Just like, yeah.
And Mr. X in like a bikini.
Or just rather than that, like just you come over this hill and someone is swapped out the song for something else, and it's just something like ridiculous. It's like Disturbed, and you walk over the hill and just goes wah, and just fucking kicks in. You're like, okay, well that's fucking out of nowhere. All right, sure. Yes, I mean, how tight are they going to be on that? It's 505 publishing, I think. So I imagine it's only going to be through Epic, or maybe it's a Steam release. Who knows?
Just put everything on. Just have it the Wild West. I just want to see crazy mods. Like, come on. Yeah. To be honest, like, just putting it on an open platform probably garners more attention and brings more eyes to it, Because people are like, oh, that's a funny mod. Maybe I'll buy it on PC. I don't think it can.
Like, what are the big things in Fallout called? Those like fucking death stalkers. Is it death stalkers? Those giant beasts that people basically dressed as Macho Man Randy Savage, and that's the kind of shit you need, isn't it? Where like you get the BTs, but actually they're like something ridiculous like Mr. Blobby instead. So when you can see them, rather than them being sort of human form floating in the air, it's just Mr. Blobby like floating towards you or something instead. That's some scary shit.
Oh yeah. Is it Death Claws?
Death Claw, yes. Yeah. Death Claws, yes.
I'm not Fallout.
Oh mate. Now I want a mod where it's Mr. Blobby BTs and Noel Edmonds instead of Norman Reedus. And it's just fucking Noel Edmonds like Fever Dream, where Mr. Blobby is constantly trying to get him forever. And he's constantly having to ship these red boxes with numbers on everywhere. Like,
yes.
Someone can make this happen. I can't do this. I don't know how to.
Not talented.
Someone can make Death Stranding as Noel Edmonds' fucking Fever Dream.
Oh no!
Oh,
I'd buy it again. Even still on? I don't even know.
Probably not. It can't be.
I don't know. What is Noel Edmonds up to? Like
who knows, mate?
I bet he's on like a private island somewhere. I bet that
More than
guy's
likely,
got so
he's kind
much
of.
money.
Noel Edmonds almost seems to me like the Tom Cruise of the UK. Like just everywhere, but completely insane.
Good old Noel.
Right, should we finish there tonight?
Yeah, because as if we're ending on Noel Edmonds. It's still about somebody else. It's Pat Sharp or something. We got him on Noel Edmonds.
Or it could be, you could have a Pat Sharp mod, and the world is just like a giant
that
obstacle
sounds
course.
Much better. Yeah. I'm down for that. Yeah. Okay.
The only song is the Funhouse theme tune. That's it. Every single moment that a song kicks in is just that tune, again and again and again, all the time. Oh dear. So I had 2 beers. I really like both of them. I hadn't picked up on it before, but they both got a little bit of a red theme going on.
Those work well together.
They do. I think I would give it to Gosta Brewery American Pale. The Stroud Cat Stout was really nice, very easy, a good stout. But I think I was happy with one. I think the American Pale I would have easily had another of straight away.
Yeah.
It was well balanced. Those hops were kicking through, but you were getting that grapefruit, but getting that nice malty back to it as well. And that was just balancing it out, keeping that level of sweetness up so the grapefruit didn't sort of suck everything away and become a little bit too dry, a little bit too bitter. It kind of kept that flavour up and made that finish maybe a little bit longer. And it was a nice finish. It wasn't too bitter. I do like something that is bitter, but it didn't. With the as I said earlier, comparing it with the pale ale last week, the Indecision Time, which kind of had this flavour and then this bitterness hit you. I think this would have felt similarly had a bitterness suddenly appeared, like it had just been put in, whereas actually this was just allowed to finish as it had been, as the recipe kind of wanted it to finish, rather than there being some bittering hops or something else kind of in there to change it up. So I think the American Pale from Gosta Brewery is my pick this week. Earth Conscious Brewing, as they say on this one, and then organic, as the Stroud Brewery say. Gloucestershire breweries clearly thinking about what they're putting in their beers, the future a little bit, giving us crazy dates which haven't happened yet and make us very confused. But yeah.
Well, the Stroud's my favourite today.
Good. One each then. I'm glad. Good. Lucy, if people want to tell you why you should play Kojima's newest game, how do they do so?
They can't. No, it's at Juicy Loose 9, basically everywhere. Twitter, Xbox, Steam, PlayStation, and all that good stuff.
All those
fun
things.
places.
PlayStation that you haven't turned on for years now.
It's not plugged in currently. They should just push like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima till October, and I'll buy a PlayStation 5. Yeah.
Instantly, both release titles for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd run out there in a second. And
Yeah.
pick up
2 weeks before the new Xbox, and they're just going to fucking destroy it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't need a new Xbox. I'm going to buy one. I don't know why. Because I'm an idiot. There's no reason for me to have one.
Well, do you need a new fridge? Or
I need a new doorstop because the Xbox One original, the floorboards are creaking under it because it's so heavy. So
it's almost time to take it just in case it falls through the floor to someone below. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get hold of me, I am at Nova_47.
I can just imagine it falling through the floorboards and it just exploding. Just a massive explosion.
Is it
like in those cartoons?
Is your lounge downstairs? Your mum's just sat on the sofa and suddenly it just fucking falls through the ceiling, explodes across the room.
Yeah, the house is gone. It's just a crater. Yeah. Looking forward to my new fridge.
Yes. If you want to talk to all of us, we are at TankedUpCast on Instagram, on Twitter. You can email us at tankedupcast@gmail.com. You can go to outlives.net to read articles, listen to This Next Act, the podcast. I think that Adel is going to be on in the next week or so when he took over hosting duties for a week, a couple of Sundays ago. So that will be up soon, I would imagine. He has had a very busy week, so I think he's behind a little bit on pushing that sort of stuff out. But there's loads of other stuff going on at outlives.net you should go over to. If you're listening to us in podcast form, you can go to YouTube and look at our beautiful faces. Look at the beers I've drank, so when we say it's a little bit more bronzy than you're seeing on the screen, you know what we're talking about. Or just to see all of our hand gestures sort of all over the place. If you're watching us on YouTube, pick up a podcast. You listen to other podcasts. Go to your podcast service of choice. Find us on there. Give us a rating based on what you think about us.
Below 5 stars, please.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we accept 4.5.
It's not. No, I think it's fine. Every week, top notch listening for your ears every week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, every week we have a guest on.
How many guests have we had on? 10, maybe. 10 out of nearly 200 episodes. That's pretty good, isn't it, for quality? Yeah. 5%? No.
These are just filler episodes. Everything in between, just filler.
Good. I'm glad our conversation is so riveting. So for another week we've been tanked up. Bye-bye.
Bye and ciao.
www.outoflives.net